Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 36 chapters that span from the Triangle, which is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all the way to Greenville and New Bern and Swansboro. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. And our goal each week is to help our fellow members grow their book of business, following BNI's mantra of givers gain. And our local small business success story this week is Dr. Tim Beck. He and his wife, Jackie, own NeuroFiT Connections. Dr. Tim is the president of Carry Connections. They meet Monday mornings at 8:30 at Hope Community Church on Buck Jones Road. Tim, good day. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on the show today. So one of the happiest people in BNI are always the outgoing president because your term will be over on September 30th. Does that play well with you?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I'm hoping they throw a big party.
I'll let the event coordinator know that. I'm having a one-to-one with him later.
Okay,
So we'll
perfect.
So Tim and Jackie opened NeuroFiT Connections in October of 2022.
Yes.
From their website, it says personalized brain training for children who learn, think, and develop differently. I know, Tim, through you, I've learned neurodiversity. So please kind of explain to the layman kind of what you guys do and why you do it and who you're looking for.
So the 45-second elevator pitch is that we target the root cause and resolve the symptoms of neurological disorders like autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. The how we do that is by targeting the root cause, which is always primitive reflexes. Then we strengthen the weaker hemisphere of the brain, which is really what's going on. So if you look at autism, it's a left hemisphere strong, meaning left hemisphere overactive, right hemisphere underactive situation. If you look at dyslexia, it's a right hemisphere strong, a right hemisphere overactive, left hemisphere underactive situation. So we strengthen that weaker hemisphere. And then we look at what else is going on. So as an example, with dyslexia, they always have issues with these 6 eye muscles. So we correct that. And we go on, and what we see is a lot of great success. We're really excited about the work that we do and the people that we can help.
I know a lot of times you ask for kids that are struggling
Yes.
in school because chances are there's something you can help them with.
And chances are somebody knows somebody who has a kid with struggling with school.
Yes. I think I told you long ago, my niece, Hannah's now 35, and I never knew this, but she does, to figure out which way is left, she has dyslexia, and she has to put up her hands like this, and she knows the thumb going this way means she turns left. I'd never seen that.
Is that a challenge
before.
you still have?
Yeah. No, I'm good. Just don't give me east west. Hey, go east. No, just tell me right or left. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Because when the sun goes down, how do I know which way is east? That's what I want directions. But I'd never seen that before till Hannah, and I didn't see that till she started driving one day. We were driving around and like, what are you doing? So I'm sure you see a lot of that.
We do.
What does that mean?
Well, dyslexia is one of those things where the brain is interpreting visual stimulation differently than most people. So a lot of people think that dyslexia is switching letters like B and D. That's not what it is at all. Imagine more trying to read a page of paper through a funhouse mirror that's constantly moving. That's what dyslexia is like.
Interesting. Yeah, because growing up, we always just heard that they read backwards or swap letters or stuff like that. So, yeah. But that's, again,
much more than that.
Yeah, that's where you and Jackie come in for sure. But you also like helping adults.
True. So we had a 22-year-old, actually, she was in college, who came in. She was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And we looked at the ADHD diagnosis. It's like, can't be that. And the reason it can't be that is because that's one's right hemisphere strong, one's left hemisphere strong. And not to say that ADHD isn't also left hemisphere strong, but what's going on in what's called inattentive, it's actually a learning disorder. She didn't have a learning disorder. She had autism. So we were able to target the correct hemisphere and resolve that symptom, resolve what's going on with her. She's actually doing really well in college. We kept telling her, you need to come back and do your final session. She's like, I'm good. I don't need you.
Hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah.
Not to bang on the medical community, but you have educated me on sometimes there's some blanket decisions made about people just because I don't know if it's lazy, I don't know if it's they don't know it, but that's why experts like you and Jackie are needed out there.
Right. Yeah. So in the medical community, like autism, for example, is primarily diagnosed through observation. I mean, there's some, if you actually want to get into it, there's some very specific tests that can be done. And a lot of uh, people who actually do those types of testing will do it. But from a very quick diagnosis is very much like through observation. Dyslexia or ADHD is the same. We've had kids come in who are with a learning disorder and they're diagnosed with ADHD and nothing else because they can't sit still. We look at, well, they can't sit still because they have some retained infant reflexes. So it's very much about, going deeper. And I have a good friend of mine who's a medical doctor. And I said to him one day, I said, look, I have a suspicion. My belief is that you guys know there's a problem, but you don't know what to do about it. He goes, exactly right. We not only don't know what to do about it, we don't say anything because we don't know what to do about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know growing up, which was many years ago, the code was, oh, Mike just can't sit still. And I'm sure many people, I think I'm right in saying this, many people have some version of an ADHD.
Right.
We just do.
Right. Actually, most adults who either have been diagnosed or have ADHD, excuse me, or believe they have ADHD, are very much about. They wear it like a badge of honor. Like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. Is it a concentration thing as well?
no,
Okay.
no. It's like the thing with these disorders is that that's like having a lamp that's unplugged. So if the lamp's unplugged and I tell you, Mike, go turn that lamp on, you're like, it's not working. Well, it's not working because you're not plugged in. Once you get plugged in, then all the other things work. So for us, what we'd like to tell people is go ahead and start with us and then do the other therapies you want to do. Do ABA therapy or OT or PT or whatever. And you're going to see greater results than you would if you didn't, because we're going to plug the kid in or plug the adult in for that matter.
And then you get involved with them in their school or meetings they might have. I forget what form or what report they get from you.
So the IEP. So
Yeah,
we
IEP.
when we start, we do an assessment, and we create an assessment results report, which is plain English. So doctors don't like it because people can read it. But the truth is that we create this report for the parents so that they know what's going on with their kid. But then they'll say, well, my kid has this IEP. Now, I always say, do you want me to participate? Do you want me to be there? And some are like, yeah, no, I'm good. Or some will, yeah, please sit in. So it's always interesting. I had a parent, I sat in their IEP and they went through all kinds of stuff in the 3 hours I was in the IEP. And at the end they go, okay, this is what we're going to do for this little kiddo. And I was like, no, because you're playing to the kid's strengths. And I get the point is that as a school, you want to show the best, but the truth is that by playing to their strengths, you're going to be producing more of the behavior you're trying to avoid. So play to their weaknesses and do it in this very specific way, and you'll find that you'll get better results. Actually, this kiddo is just amazing. She's about to graduate. So
Oh, very nice.
yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine the parents, the ones that do invite you there, probably appreciate having not a set of eyes and ears, but more importantly, your set of eyes and ears.
Yes.
Nice. You have a very non-traditional BNI seat. And for those of you not familiar with BNI, the HVA seat, the residential realtor seat, we call them seats, and we're seat specific. So there's only one. Dr. Tim, you are first one I've seen with what you do. So why BNI and what kind of things you learning about help finding connectors for you to
Wow.
get new patients?
So I was a therapist prior to NeuroFiT Connections, and I was in BNI in a small town, and it didn't work for me. Not because BNI is not a great thing, but I would say, and I was working with this guy, he had these types of issues, and somebody go, "Oh, you're talking about John? I know John." Because of HIPAA, I can't do that, right? And so I was like, oh man, this isn't going to work. And so when somebody said, hey, you should go do BNI, I was like, I don't think this is going to work for me, but I'll give it a shot. Within the first probably couple of months, I started getting referrals and started getting known, which is really the reason I wanted to get into it, so that parents, people who connect with other people, really can say, oh, you have this issue. I know somebody who might be able to help you.
Um, it's interesting learning what I've learned from you just to listen because we all health and wealth are not common conversations. People
No.
aren't going to lead with, "Oh, I think I'm about to file bankruptcy," or this, this, that, or the other. So you really have to listen for phrases and words. And so I know that through BNI, and you've met some other people in the medical world, so at least you guys kind of have a language
Right.
for each other. So, all right, always love a good small business story.
Uh-oh.
So you and Jackie officially opened NeuroFit Connections October of
Tw-
2022,
October 21.
20,
21,
October
20.
21st.
Yep.
Okay. Let's go back to the first time you two looked at each other and said, we need to have our own business, or what do you think? Where did it start?
So to tell you that story, I have to give you a little bit of backstory. So Jackie started working for Brain Balance, which is does similar work to what we do, in 2016. And when I say similar, they're handling the high functioning kids. We will deal with, if you have a non-speaking autistic kid, that's our jam. However, having said that, so she worked with them, and she started following the founder, Dr. Malello, in 2016, and just absolutely fell in love with what Brain Balance was doing and the results that we're getting. And Dr. Malello left Brain Balance in 2019 to work with the harder cases. And so when he left, she started continue to follow him, took his online training, and then subsequently took his in-person training, and still working for Brain Balance. And what she did is she said, when she starting to encounter struggles, starting to encounter those places where the Brain Balance work wasn't working because they were harder cases, she said, "Well, let me try," and tried the Malello method, and it worked. And she said to Brain Balance Corporate, "Hey, we should do this." And they went, "No, no, we have 300 centers, we have 3,000 coaches, we're not going to change." And so she came to me and she said, "We need to start our own business." So, from my perspective, this is during COVID when she said this, obviously, 2022. Um, our offices were back to back. We had a little landing between us. And so I could hear her talking to the kids through the door. And it was success story after success story. Actually, what it started out with was, I'm not sure I can help this kid. This kid's a little bit more advanced than we've ever dealt with. And then it became, oh my God, they're awesome. And then it became the kid going, so her saying, "So you said your goals were, can you do that?" And every time it was success after success after success. So when she came to me, she said, "We have to do this on our own." I went, "Okay."
What kind of things needed to be put in place? What kind of timeline are we looking at from that very conversation?
So, obviously the first thing is to form the business, to like become legal. So, we did that. I had a chunk of savings that I had set aside for other things, but we decided to put all that into it. We got a bookkeeper, we got a CPA, we had somebody to do marketing. There's a lot of stuff outside of doing the business that needed to be done for the business, and it was more than I had expected, but has produced some great results. And I think that if I were to give anybody advice about that,
Please do.
it's choose wisely. So, when you go to do, for example, create a website, if you know how to do that, awesome. But for most people, they so clearly understand their business that explaining it to somebody becomes a challenge. And a website needs to be like for a third grader, honestly.
Mm.
That's not me. Right. And so I found somebody to do the website, and they were good. But then I found through BNI, actually, I found somebody to do the website who is great. And that's what I'd say is choose wisely. So, not necessarily don't accept your first choice, but and same true for that. For example, if you're going to go check out a BNI, check out a couple. Like, find the right one for you. Find your family. And so with your business, find the people that are going to work for you, that not only you gel with, but that actually know what they're doing and can help you in the way that you need help.
So going back to the website,
Yeah.
Care to shout out a name of the person that was great at it?
Oh, sure. It's Erin Jenkins from Second Chance Media.
Okay.
She's amazing, by the way.
And how many versions of that website did you go through before you and Jackie read it and said, okay, that explains what we do?
Um, Gosh, I probably reviewed every page at least 10 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've
Do
actually
you,
subsequently have been redoing it recently.
okay, so you do update it.
I do.
That's good to know because a lot of people like, I have a website. My favorite is in BNI or not BNI is like, can you give me the link to your website? Oh, it's my Facebook page. That's not a website,
No.
folks. Google will give you no credit for you trying to call your Facebook page your website
Right.
if you're interested in
It's
that.
actually one of my pet peeves, I guess. I mean, I understand, like, I have a personal Gmail address, right? But for my business, I have a business email address. And it's like saying, well, I have a website, but here's my home address to get in touch with me, you know?
And here's another thing, folks. If you are going to tell people one of the reasons people should hire you is because you're local, when I go to your website, I would like to see how local you are. I want to see a picture of you and your spouse and your kid on a farm if you're from the country. I want to see a reference to where you went to high school, things like that. So if that's going to be one of your selling points, it's got to be on there because a lot of times that's what people are looking for, especially if you told them, hey, go look for this because we're so local. You need to hire local, which, by the way, I'm a big fan of, but let's do that. So day one when you opened, it's just you and Jackie.
Yes.
How long did that last before you had to bring someone on?
So we just brought Madison on recently. We've actually been trying to find the right coach for quite a while. So we had some interns come in. We've had folks come in. We had this one woman who came in as an intern named Grace. Grace is amazing. She's also in college and going to college in Virginia. So it's a bit of a trek for her to get to our office. I didn't have a problem with it, but she did. I don't understand. Anyway, but we hired Madison, and it was interesting because I had mentioned to a friend of mine who owned an HVAC company, who was actually in our group, but I mentioned him, hey, I'm looking for somebody. He goes, well, my daughter's looking for a job, and I said, oh, great. And I talked to her. He said, I have this meeting, this dinner. Come join me. And so I did, and I sat down and talked to her, and I started geeking out on what we do. And she's like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I went, you need to talk to Jackie. And that was the end of our conversation. And Jackie's like, oh, you don't explain it well. And I said, okay, you talk to her. And she did. She goes, oh my God, she's amazing. I went, thank you.
No credit. Yeah. Pricing. Not going to ask you your pricing, but a lot of times small business owners struggle with, okay, I'm brand new, so I should be charging $50 for this, but I need the business, so I'm only going to charge 35. So how did you guys figure out, based on your experience kind of in the industry, how you were going to price things and packaging and all of that?
Oh, that's a great question. So we had some guidelines, right? So again, Jackie worked for Brain Balance. The leader in the industry, the like gold standard is Dr. Malala. Dr. Malala charges $800 per hour.
Nope.
Brain Balance charged somewhere like $235 to $325, depending upon their mood, right? And so we went, let's be between them and go from there. But the other thing that hit me, so in 2019, just like right before COVID hit, we had our upstairs of our house remodeled. And I said to the guy, I think honestly, this is a great question for anybody is there anything we can do to lower the price? And he went, are you current or former first responders? You current for, and went through this list. And I was like, we're none of those things, but that's a great question. Right. And so for us, we have discounts for current or former first responders, current or former medical, current or former teacher, current single parents. So that type of stuff. So for us, and I say this to parents and I don't think they believe me, but for us, when a child comes in for an assessment at this point, it's about the kid. So if they say to me, look, I want to do this for my kiddo, but I can only afford X number of dollars per month, I will make X number of dollars per month work, provided it's reasonable. I'm not going to do like, $1 a month. That's ridiculous. But if they say I can do it for 200 a month, then let's do 200 a month. Right? It's not about me. It's about your little one. Because the truth is, if you get the results, and you will, that you expect to see, you're going to be telling everybody about us. So it's great marketing.
Have you evolved your packages since the day you opened as you learned things?
Yes. Then more about not the packages themselves, but the service we provide within that. But yes. So one of the things we used to do, and we still do occasionally, is intensives, which is twice a day for 5 days. It's really beneficial to do a kickstart, but if parents are doing the work at home, then it'd be better if they took that time and just spread out the number of sessions over time, as opposed to um, doing it all in 1 week or doing it all in a shorter time frame.
Do you prefer the stretch just for the child's sake?
Yes, I
Okay.
do prefer stretching it out.
Yeah, that
I
does
mean,
make sense.
and we'll do this. So again, one of the things that we do that I don't think anybody else does, if we get close to the end and we go, you know what, this kid needs another week, they need another couple weeks, we'll just do that. We won't charge them for it. There's nothing like that. If we say, okay, they need, longer time, we're going to talk to the parents about it and say, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? But and this is go back to my 45 second today. We had a kiddo who graduated probably 6 months ago, maybe less. I can't remember. It's towards the end of the school year. Um, and mom just reached out to us and said they reevaluated him and he's improved significantly. Now, I can't quote all the numbers, but the point is that after he graduated from program, he still continued to improve. And we see that a lot.
Do they leave when they're done with you guys? Do you send them home with stuff to continue to do?
Depends upon what we see. So sometimes, like if we see that they've got this still little piece to work on, just continue to do work on that at home. If we see they've got a lot to work on, then we're like, okay, here's how you handle this. It just depends. We don't ever want them to stop doing the work at home, because we live in a left brain society. So, for example, if they're autistic, they're going to move towards being more left brain. If they're have a right hemisphere strength, they're going to lose a little bit of that as they go on, because again, we live in a left brain society.
All right, so slowly, with layman's words, explain
Left.
what you mean by left brain and why you're leaving out the right brain, people.
I don't mean. Well, the left brain is very analytical. So the left brain, if you think about, but I say, by the way, left hemisphere strength or left or right hemisphere strength, it's more about being left hemisphere overactive or right hemisphere overactive, depending upon what we're talking about. We actually tend to talk about it in terms of weakness, but for most people, it's about what's stronger. And so in a left brain society, we're very technology. So, for example, computer games, like when you're scrolling on the internet, congratulations, you're strengthening your left brain. Yay! So it's those types of things that we look for, and again, our society is based on that. If you put a kid in a classroom today, most of the time they're going to get a tablet to work with, so they're spending a lot of time. I mean, you think about look at kids fine motor skills, have them write their name. It's usually really really bad. Why? Because they don't do that in school anymore.
Oh yeah, cursive. They
Yeah.
don't. I bet most people, what, under the age of 35,
Yeah.
what's that?
Well,
Is that a new
it's
band?
there is a joke about that, saying essentially that if we want to hide stuff from our kids, we just have to write it in cursive.
Yeah,
They
yeah. I
won't
think
be
it'd
able
be
to understand
hilarious.
that.
Uh, so how do you explain social media today?
I don't.
Right brain, left brain, no brain, what?
I go with a no brain personally, but
No.
it's more left brain. It's very much about the quick stimulation, the dopamine hit, which is very very left brain. Left brain loves that. Right brain's very much take your time. Think of the right brain as yoga and the left brain as the NASCAR.
Ooh, good. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay. All right. Um, now to tell everyone watching and listening how much Tim and Jackie love each other, I think I've got these facts correct.
Oh.
Well, A, she said yes to you, so
Well,
we'll
there's
start with
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. She said yes many times,
But
actually.
you work together.
We do.
Uh, you're married. You work together, and you guys share one car.
Yes.
How do you guys do that?
That's the difficult part. Yeah. Because usually I like to get up and be going in the morning, and she's very much like, take your time. I have things to do. I want to go work out. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. But we make it work. And sometimes, like after BNI, I'll usually go pick her up and bring her to work. If we need to, we have cars that we can borrow in the house because mom lives with us still.
Okay. All right. I'm amazed at married couples who truly, truly own and work the business. Uh, because Becky and I could never do that. We would not be married this long. We'd have made it like 2 years, and I'm just not in her league brain wise. And I start sentences in the middle of my thought in my head, and I expect everybody to know right where I started. And I've learned over the years many times that drives her nuts. So at the end of the day, let's say you guys get home at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
What do you talk about?
It depends upon the day. Sometimes, like if we have an assessment, we'll tend to talk about the kiddo. Um, I will always ask her, how did, whoever it is that was in program, how did they do? Some kids I'm more invested in than others, not because I care more about any different kid, but some of them are at the beginning of the program. So I want to make sure, hey, are we starting to see what we're expecting to see? If they're at the end of the program, I already know where they're at. So I'm getting more invested in the newcomers than the old timers. Um, that's interesting. You think about kids.
Yes.
But we tend to talk about that. If we talk about, if we've done an assessment, I want to know, and she does too. It's like, where are they going to do it? First of all, where are they, or what's going on with this kiddo? And most importantly, how long is it we're going to take to get to where we want to be? And so those are the kind of conversations we have.
I won't ask you who breaks the tie. I generally do, but I think I'm sensing who breaks the tie. Jackie.
So her, yeah,
yeah,
she's the boss.
So the other thing that's neat to look at businesses, especially when there's a true partnership, is who brings what skill set to the table. So my brother and I have had a couple of companies, and I'm out in the field. I'm the networker. I hire, I train, all that, and he's a musician with spreadsheets, margins, stuff like that. So do you and Jackie have different skill sets that make the blend work?
Oh yeah. So she works with the kids. Her gift, I mean, among the many others, but in terms of working with the kids, her gift, her greatest strength is the ability to meet a kid where they are, and to then raise them up to where they need to be. And so very often it's, they'll come in, like we had a little girl who had separation anxiety, and she would not leave mom's side, not to go to the bathroom, not to be with dad, not leave mom's side. And Jackie was very kind and patient and loving with her, and kind of, it's like, okay, it's fine. We can have mom here. She can sit in the room. She can, and just very much being with this little girl, until at one point she's like, oh, mom's not here. And yeah. And it took just a couple of weeks for her to get to that point, because Jackie's very much about where is she now and where does she need to be.
Okay, so two things jump out of me there. So I know you guys a little bit, and Jackie literally will get on the floor with a kid.
She will.
So when Tim says she meets them where they are, I'm not kidding. I've seen her do that before. The other thing she did was actually great customer service, because she acknowledged what the client was saying. And she didn't, mom will be back later, left mom in the room. And so I love that, because that shows that, you guys have dealt with kids before in situations like that. But I know she's telling herself, I got this. I got this. Just leave mom in here, and pretty soon. I think that's a great story.
Yeah.
So is there a good story about how you two met? And would you both explain it to me the same way?
Yeah, probably. She was a Sunday school teacher at my church, and I actually hadn't attended church at that point, but I'm not a big in terms of churches, I'm not a big fan of the happy slappy stuff, right? So oh, great to meet you and all this, and like, I don't, everybody's like that. I don't want to see that. I want to see, like, what's the church really like? So I used to come in late and stand in the back and just kind of check it out. And when I did that, I can't remember this first or second time I was there, she came out with all the kids for Sunday school. And she just did her little presentation. She had no idea. But I can tell you she's wearing a yellow dress, like yellow flowered dress, and she caught my eye.
I know that.
So the next time I came, I brought my kids, and she met them, and she's like, oh, nice guy. And we merrily on our way. I pursued her, and actually, I don't know, we'd been kind of dating, or not dating, kind of seeing each other for a while through the church. And I called the minister, and who's a good friend, and I said, hey, Tony, I'm interested in dating her. What do you think? And, I was expecting him to go, it's a good idea, or you're crazy, don't do that. And he said, let me call you back. I went, It's kind of odd, but okay. So he called me back about 10 minutes later and he said, she said she's flattered, but not interested. And I was like,
Oh,
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 no.
you got a wingman. You just didn't know it.
Yeah. So I pursued her mercilessly.
Good.
And she was actually dating somebody else and she was looking for a way to dump him. Here I am.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of the things in my previous relationship, which, you know, gave me the two boys, was my wife said, you don't tell me you love me enough. And I went, I'm going to solve this problem. So not only do I tell Jackie I love her too much, she will tell you that, but also we get remarried every year. We have some
cool.
sort of commitment ceremony.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Different places.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So it's fun. And, you know, a couple times we had a minister go, well, I can't be there that day. I'm like, okay, we'll figure this out.
Where's when's your anniversary?
June 10th
Okay. So where was the most recent renewal?
in Emerald Isle.
Ah, very nice. And the one before that?
I cannot remember.
Oh,
We've
you
done
might
it all
want to.
over.
You might want to. How about the one before that?
Oh, like I said,
Where's the first renewal?
in California, in wine country in California.
Oh, ooh, good call.
Yeah.
Good call. All right. So who plans the location for the renewals?
It depends. It's usually one or the other of us. I mean, we flip a coin, but sometimes she'll go, I just don't have any idea. What do you want to do?
Okay.
And sometimes I'm the same way.
Is the ale house an option?
No.
Okay.
Just, no, it's got to be someplace where, you know, we can be away from people.
Yes. Because are you one of those guys when you go to any kind of event, be it unofficial, official, business, pleasure, whatever, are you the guy that just stands in the back of the room, just observes for a while?
Yes.
Have you always done that?
Yes.
Did your parents know that you always did that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
When
you went to family reunions, did you do that?
No, when I went to family reunions, which we didn't have very often, my question was, well, first I got stuck with all the other kids my age, but my question was always, because they would come to us, right? We lived in California and, you know, we lived probably 30 minutes from Disneyland and 30 minutes from Magic Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And so we lived that close and you think we'd go there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. Only when family came. So it'd be like, oh, we're having a reunion. When are we going to Disneyland? When are we going to Magic? You know, because, and so that was my thing is like, let me push. And then I get stuck with my brother. It's like, wait, this isn't what I wanted. So,
yeah. Now, when you first visited the BNI chapter you're in,
Mhm.
you picked a corner where you could see the whole room?
No. So what I do now, I mean, I don't do this. When I go to like social, chamber
Yeah.
mixers and stuff like that, then I'll sit back. Right? For BNI, I knew I had a limited amount of time to meet people. And so I prepared myself before I got in. And then I went in and like, I was, Johnny, let me go meet everybody.
Which you hate.
No, I don't
You hate
hate
the
it.
happy slappy.
I hate the happy slappy. I don't mind meeting
Yeah.
people. I just don't want like in church, it's very much like I'll give you a big hug and like,
Yeah.
God, great to meet you. Like we're best friends. Like, no.
No. We just met last Sunday, dude.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm going to just assume, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're an observer, not a judger when you're standing in the back of the room watching people like me and Amnon.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We're going to go with that. When you guys opened your doors, what's the first couple things you did to tell people you were open for business?
One of the interesting things is we applied for ESA Plus, which is the ability to have the state pay for services through us. And they put us on their website. And so other people knew about us. And so one of our very first patients came from ESA Plus from actually Jacksonville, North Carolina. And when they came, we're like, okay, well, you coming from 3 hours away. We can set this up so that, you know, we can do this virtually or whatever. And they went, no, we're bringing him in.
Wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably the best thing, but, you know, creating the website, getting out there on social media, all of those things help. You know, it's social media and the website take time.
Yeah.
So if you're expecting, I'm going to put up my website and people are going to show up the next day, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
Right. But if you do those things and do them right, then you get noticed. You get noticed more and more. The more you get noticed, the more you get noticed.
Do you remember your first patient?
Yeah, it was that little kiddo from
Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Nice. How long were they with you?
6 months, I
Yeah.
think. It was when he came in for an assessment. I was sitting with Dad and chatting with him because Mom and the guy were in the room with Jackie, and Dad said, when he was born, I was so excited because I just wanted to have a son that I could play baseball with, that I could, toss the ball with, and we'd just do guy things, and I didn't get that. And when he graduated, Jackie and he were having a conversation. I wasn't there, and he said, "I am so pleased I have the son I always wanted to have." And she told me that. I went, "Oh my God."
Mm.
And I told her, this is the conversation he and I had 6 months prior. And she's like, "Oh my, wow, that is incredible."
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, if I remember right, when Jackie's meeting with the kids, you generally chat with one or both parents.
I do. I answer their questions.
Okay.
Right. Because think about it. For most parents, they're bringing their kid in to be assessed, and they think it's more like a medical doctor's office. So, probes and thermometers and all that stuff. And we do take their temperature and their blood pressure and all of that, mostly for our own research, but it also tells us something. You probably don't know this, but whether you take a neurodivergent kid, so a kid who's got right hemisphere strong or left hemisphere strong, and take their blood pressure or their pulse on both arms, you'll find that there's a difference between,
Wow.
and it's because of the stronger hemisphere. So we do that. It tells us which hemisphere is stronger, but also it's statistics that we like to keep track of. But there's a lot of other stuff that goes on in the room with the kiddo, and so parents are like, "Well, so what's going on?" We had one parent who asked the question, which I've never heard before, which I loved, was, "What happens if you don't find anything?" And I went, "Then we tell you we didn't find anything, and you go merrily on your way." We actually
Fair
had
question.
it is a great question. I loved it. We had a parent brought her 2 daughters in, and one daughter, we're like, she's got minor issues, but she doesn't need us. She can take care of this on her own. And Mom went, "Oh, no, no, no. She's coming to see you." And we're like, "Okay." And she's actually, if you look on the website, she's on the Google, she's one of the reviews where Mom came in and saw that she'd cleaned her room. And she said, Mom said, "What's going on here?" And the little girl went, "I don't know. I had the idea to clean my room and I just did it." And Mom's like, "Just keep it up. I'm going to leave."
Yeah. Now, a while back, you told me a story, and I think I have the basics of it right. A dad, I think his dad brought a daughter in, and then she had worked with you guys, and now she was like being a typical daughter, giving him lip, arguing with him, blocking everything, and you saw that as a great success. He did not, did he?
Yeah. So she was Asperger's, so ASD1, the lowest end of the autism spectrum. And when she graduated, life was good, and he came in and he said, "So she's arguing with me." And I went, "Oh, good." And he went, "No, that's not good. She's never done that before." And I said, "Oh, that's perfect." And he goes, "No, she's 14. And I said, "Yes, it's good." And he went, "No, no, 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 it's not good." And so I had to find the CDC statistics that show, and I showed him. I said, "Look, 14, she argues with you. She talks back." And he went, "I don't like that." I went, "Welcome to parenthood."
I don't know, such a good story. Because that's normal life.
That is normal
It
life.
usually starts at 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Well, with one of my granddaughters starts at 4. So
Wait, it's you, so.
Yeah, no, she didn't argue with me. Because I do whatever she says. So
okay.
That's why she didn't argue with me.
So you're the smart one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I just want to do what she wants to do. I don't want an argument. I don't want to be a parent. I want to be a friend playing with her. I don't need that stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, we've been there, done that with our 2 boys. I do not need that for my grandkids. So, is there a way? Do we need to know if we are right hemisphere, or left hemisphere?
No, you don't even need to have a diagnosis. You don't need to know if anything's wrong. If you suspect there's a problem, there probably is, especially moms, right? Moms, because moms see it. I go, yeah, it's a little bit off, especially when you compare your child to other kids.
Mm.
You can go, they're a little more clumsier than other kids, or they have trouble reading where other kids don't, or they have, you know, that's a sign. Does it mean there's really a problem? I don't know. I'd have to assess them. And that's one of the things that parents always say to me is, well, how much is it going to cost? I don't know. I have to assess them. Well, can you give me a ballpark? I don't know. I have to assess them. Right. Well, and interestingly, parents don't know their kids as well as they think they do.
No,
No.
no.
So we'll have kids, we give them it's a 24-page intake form, and we'll have them fill it out, and they'll say things like, that's not really what's going on with your kiddo. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it, because you look at, the observable things, and we can see, okay, that's not really what's going on. That's not why they're doing what you think they're doing. They're doing it because of whatever the reason is, but we don't know really what's going on until we assess them. And then I can tell you the whole picture, how long it's going to take, what needs to be done on your part, and on and on.
Yeah, to all the moms out there, your spidey sense is unbelievably
Right.
not good. It's unbelievably accurate. So I always tell in the business world, if I meet a mom, I'm like, okay, I'm with you. If you think something's going on with your business, something's going on with your business.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you're right. We don't know. Our kids are like, no, that's not my son. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of what he told us for the third week in a row. So
Yeah.
So let's give tips on a couple things here before we wrap up. From a business standpoint, somebody that knows their field, like you and Jackie did, you believe with all the data you have that we should have our own business.
Yes.
What kind of hurdles did you and Jackie look at or have to jump over to make all this happen?
Well, there's obviously the things that we talked about, like the CPA, or the bookkeeper, all those other support systems in place. But we also had to look for a place, right? For example, if you're a roofer, you don't necessarily need a place to operate out of, at least for the salesperson. They could probably do it from home. But we needed a place for people to come to work with us. So that was one of the things that we had to think about. We need to think about the equipment, and there's a lot of it, and it costs a lot. So that was one of those things. And some of the things, interestingly, like we still do, we want to administer the Wyatt test prior to starting with us and after they finish, so we can show the differences. Well, we're not educators, so we can't administer the Wyatt test,
Oh.
which is interesting. So there's certain things where we ran into challenges, and had it not been actually for my doctorate, there's some things that we couldn't have done simply because, normal people, the layperson can't do that. And, which was interesting to me because,
Mm.
just because somebody doesn't have a doctorate, and I honestly, like you, Mike, I think my wife's much smarter than I am. She'll tell me that I'm full of it, but I think she's much smarter than me.
Mm.
And I think that all the stuff that I do, and then that I can get access to because of a result of my doctorate, doesn't really matter. However, it apparently does.
What hurdles were there just to the answer of yes or no, and when?
The answer of yes or no to
To starting the business, not, I mean, location aside, all of that, just like, what was the hurdle of, is this the right time? Do we want to do this?
we didn't actually think about it. We just, because I knew that she was at a place where she wanted to do this, and she had the skill set to do it. So for us, it was more about, um, let's get going. And she's very much the kind of person who, like, if you said, "Hey, come over for dinner, let's do this on Saturday night," she'd be like, "Oh, all excited." And then when it came to Saturday, she's like, "I don't know," right? And so I'm very much like, no, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And so, um, I had all the evidence I needed based upon just hearing her success after success. So it wasn't for us about, can we do this? I knew we could do it. It was more about, can we get all the support systems in place to make it work? And that was really my challenge. And I did the legwork. I went out and met the people, and I made some poor choices, admittedly. And I made some great ones. So.
Yeah, but that's how you learn. Any trouble with um, any issues with getting to year 2 as a new business?
Mostly it was just, making sure we had the funds to do what we wanted to do. I mean, from my standpoint, I had to make sure that 'cause we didn't have employees, so paying us wasn't an issue. I had to make sure that we had money for the rent, money for all the recurring expenses related to the equipment, and money for insurance and those types of things. So once I had that little nutshell, everything else ran smoothly.
Did you guys pay yourself the first month?
First month, first year, no, no, we're still not paying ourselves. Right. And it's not, it's more for us now. It's like we
Okay,
have the money to do it, but we want to invest back in the business to make it, to grow it.
cool.
Because, I mean, we're the only people in North Carolina who do what we do. We're the only people nobody in Virginia does it. Nobody in South Carolina does it. So, and I don't want to, that's too big of a territory. But having said that, if somebody comes to me from Virginia or South Carolina or Massachusetts or fill in the blank, I don't want to turn them away. Right. So for us, it's about how can we help as many people as we can and continue to grow this business to the point where we have, I mean, honestly, I'd rather that we worked ourselves out of business. I'd rather we didn't have to do what we're doing
Yeah.
because nobody needs to live with it. But having said that, it's a reality of our life. So let's make it better for the parents, better for the kiddos so that, life goes on. And for those adults out there who are struggling, doesn't have to be that way.
So we've been putting Tim's phone number up on the screen here.
Uh-oh.
Things, why should a parent call you? What would they have heard or seen that would make them think something to pick up a phone and call you and Jackie?
So, we always talk about or think about, well, how's my kid doing in school? If they're struggling with the school work, that's a reason to call. If they fine in school, but then they come home and that's the wife. They come home and they melt down. That's a concern. If you you find that they're delayed, if they miss their milestones, that's a concern. And if you have a concern, come see us, do an assessment. We'll tell you what's going on. If it's not, if we find that you don't need us, we'll tell you that. If we find that, you've got, like we had one little guy came in and we said he was 2 years old. We said to the parents, here's the things you need. That's $50 worth of equipment. We're not going to charge you anything else. Go home and do these things. You don't need us. And they did. They're very happy. Actually reached out to him a month or so ago. And they go, if we were a little more on top of it, I think he'd be better, but he's doing great right now.
Good. Let's real quick, the milestones. You inform me of this, like when kids are crawling and walking at a certain time, those milestones. So touch on that real quick for me.
So the CDC has put out some milestones and do the ones before 2019 because the CDC has taken out crawling as a milestone. And the reason for that is because most kids don't crawl anymore and they don't think if they don't crawl, they don't need to. It's like, that's not true. Your brain develops in a sequential manner and your brain develops through movement. So if a kid misses a milestone, it's a concern. If they miss it by, a couple days, is... They
is
miss
Jackie it, trying to go
It is, yeah. They miss it by a couple days or a couple months. It may or may not be a concern. They're like, if they're supposed to be walking at a year and they don't start walking until 16 months, that's a concern. Okay. So if they miss those types of CDC milestones, that's a concern. If there was a trauma at the birth and you're seeing some of the results of that, that's a concern. So if as a mom, and you mentioned this, moms have that laser focus. Oh, yeah. If you think there's something wrong, there probably is. Come see us and we'll tell you what we see.
And so the first conversation and the analysis are free. Not the analysis, what do you do with them?
Assessment?
Assessment.
Assessment is not free.
Okay. No, but first conversation is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
right.
and honestly, call, ask questions. I'd love to answer questions.
Yeah. Good. All right, folks, I say this just about every week. There's some things in our lives we need an expert to do for us. We can't do it by ourselves. Dr. Tim and Jackie are those experts. So just give them a call. They'll talk to you as long as they need to talk to you to figure out what's going on and see what's the best path. So, Dr. Tim, always enjoy having you on the show.
My pleasure.
And I always learn something from you. So that was good. And love a good business story where you guys kind of knew the answers to the test because Jackie kept saying, oh, well, this works. This works. This works. So
Yeah.
I do like that. Right. And folks, we'll see you next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.